Monday, December 18th. The Dome Foamers podcast is back, and I'm your host, Christian Kruger, here with, as always, Neil Mieski and Brian Dorton. And we are just lifelong Astros fans that love to talk about the Astros. So, boys, let's go. Episode 33. First things first. Glad everyone's here tonight on a Monday. Want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Some of our children are out of
ho.
school. Some aren't. Oh, man, what a wonderful time of year. For all those that, there's no sarcasm there. I do want to say, for those that are out there listening or will check us out for the first time, like and subscribe. It definitely helps us with the YouTube channel and on Spotify. Give us some feedback. Been getting some random stuff over the week. It's pretty cool. Again, we'll take all feedback coming back. So like and subscribe the Dome Foamers podcast on all platforms. Boys, how's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Good. We're going to break down this podcast, episode 33, in two parts. We're going to do a little Astros talk because that's how this bad boy was founded on, and we want to start with that. And then we're going to kind of transition to some bowl picks and talk about that. We're going to take next Sundays and Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. We're not going to have a podcast next week due to everyone enjoying their families at Christmas. And then we'll be back before the playoff picks or for the college football playoff to do a little preview of that. So with that being said, we are still doing the fan favorite with Two Gringos Chupacabra, our title sponsor. So we sent them out. We give one away a week. It's been kind of cool to see some feedback from people that are getting the season rubs and all. And you can go to their website at twogringoschupacabra.com. That is the number 2, gringoschupacabra.com. Use the code DOME15. That is DOME15 for 15% off. Get your stocking stuffers, get stuff in, and we appreciate those guys sponsoring the show. And Merry Christmas to them and their families. And for all your grilling needs, contact them. You can also find the local grocery stores, but we would love for you to use the Dome 15 online for them. So now we've got all that housekeeping out of the way. We are going to get right into it. I know we mentioned last week about Alex Bregman being traded. We kind of really didn't think that had much teeth to it. I still don't. But there was not necessarily he's on the trading block, but from some national pundits who cover the game pretty well, one being, I believe, Bob Nightingale of USA Today, and there's a great Twitter site called Major League MLB Rumors. They do a great job. They've got some national writers that feed info there. They said the Astros would be listening to offers for one Framber Valdez. Now, before we get into that, I think there's some things that need to be unpacked here that we've talked about, but I don't think all Astro fans understand what's going on. What's going on is There's a payroll issue. Yep, There's a payroll issue.
Yeah,
we talked about it. Mieski, you're our social media wizard, with the exception of I kind of run the Twitter. You kind of run the other ones and do a good job with it. There's been times when people have disagreed with our payroll situation. I know you've seen, and I was like, no, there's an issue.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, some people said we had a lot more room than we have. No, we don't. And
especially with the signing of the catcher, that kind of went over. Yeah.
Rosterresource.com is affiliated with Fangraphs, I believe. It's either Fangraphs or Baseball Reference. I think it's Fangraphs. But they do a great breakdown. And yes, they're guessing when it comes to the ARB numbers, sure, but they're pretty dang close. So why we bring this up is I will give credit to Michael Schwab, who's a big Astros Twitter guy. He does interview some players, has some connections. I'll just say it. He does some things that I think are a little out there. I don't always agree with, but he is a source of Astros information. I'm sure there's more to this story, and I'm sure if we dug in, but I sent this to y'all earlier today, and this is from his Twitter at Michael Schwab 13. But this is interesting. So the Astros are losing $73 million per year in broadcast rights fees after leaving AT&T Southwest Sportsnet in November. With owning their own network with the Rockets, Space City Network, the Astros will most likely only get close to about $50 million per year from the channel as it starts. This considers the channel making close to $110 million a year, but operating expenses get that to about $90 million. Then the Astros and Rockets take different percentage of the profits, more for the Astros. This info is cited from the Houston Chronicle. With this in mind, this could explain why Crane reportedly is less likely to spend over the CBT threshold or the luxury tax. I find that extremely interesting. I'm not surprised. It's also the first time in a long time. If, I don't even know. This is the closest the Astros have ever been to start a season when it comes to the luxury tax, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's 100% true, but I guarantee you it's got to be within the top 1 or 2 times. So, boys, first, before we get into the Framber talk, because we'll break that down, are we going to shed payroll?
I don't know. I don't know that we shed payroll, but we may maneuver. And I understand that Jim Crane is a businessman first, right? I mean, make no bones about it. He is there to make money. He is definitely there to do that. And right now, I mean, we're still in the golden years of the Houston Astros, and he's making money. He's making money. My fear or my question would be is he preparing for a downturn? Is he preparing for the drop off that is likely? Maybe I don't know if that's the right word, but
no, hold on, let me stop you there. No, it's likely. It's just a matter of when is it?
Yes, yeah. I mean it's is it after this season, or do we trickle on through Tuckers and we're going to be the Astros are going to look different sooner than later, right? I mean, and we have sustained the Springer Correas and all that mess over the years. I mean, we've talked about this on the podcast plenty. Likely to lose Bregman and very likely to lose Kyle Tucker. So within 2 years, what do the Houston Astros look like? Well, it's going to look different, right? I mean, in the same year that we lose Tucker, we're also losing Abreu, right? So you're talking about some pretty significant changes along the way.
You mean Valdez? You mean Valdez?
Well, possibly, but Jose Abreu at first, right? He's got 2 more years.
I'm sorry. Yeah. See, when you say Abreu to me, I think of Brian Abreu first.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
I mean, I almost feel that's
I forgot about Jose. I forgot about Jose.
I almost feel like that's freeing up almost 20 million.
Ding ding.
Yeah, and for I guess Montero for that matter too. So, anyways, I'm not so sure we don't rearrange, and that kind of is leading into the Framber talk. But I just think that I don't know how much the TV contract plays a part in his big picture as much as where the Astros are headed in the near future.
Okay, Norton, thoughts?
I think there's less. I think there's a bigger narrative there, and it is, where is Crane's mindset, and is it more he's preparing for the downturn, or is he preparing the team to sell? And I think that him preparing the team to sell is going to look a lot different than him reloading and trying to rebuild a new kind of 2015, 2016, 2017 and onward, right?
Buy low, sell high.
Right. So, I think, there's one person on earth who knows that right now. but I think we'll know pretty soon as to like the moves. If we start, I don't know, if we start every now and again, if we start overvaluing certain players and putting, putting a lot of money into, you know, older players that will give us some value right now, I think that's going to tell us a whole lot about where this is going.
You mean like Jose Abreu?
Correct.
You mean like Justin Verlander?
I mean, I really think that it's within the next year or two where he is in a position to sell this team for about as much as you can get for it right now.
Oh, well, there's no
without
question
doing
when you won 2 championships. Yeah, I mean, it is at the tip. It's at the tip of its value.
But we all can see there is a precipice up ahead, right? Like we are heading towards the top of this hill. We could be heading for the top of this hill, right?
I think it's a fair point. I mean, Neil said it, and I agree with you, Jordan. I mean, I think it's on the table because he's a businessman first, and Neil said it too as he was responding to your point. I mean, buy low, sell high. I mean, it's not going to get with 2 championships. If you want to sell, now's the time within the next 12 to 24 months, because then if you're not winning, you're declining in value, and it will be a slow decline, or it won't be as rapid as an incline, right? I think it's fair. Interesting. I didn't. I need to dive into that a little bit, but
I hadn't thought about the selling aspect of it. That's a good point, Brian.
Yeah. There's going to be a ton of flexibility, in my opinion, in 25, because I don't think they're re-signing Bregman. There's 29 million off the books.
Yeah.
And
Neil brought it up. I think we'll also have another 19 million off the books with Abreu gone.
He's got one more year.
That's after 20. Yeah, he's going into 26.
Oh, he's in 25. Yeah, you're right.
But if you take off Abreu and Tucker, which Tucker's not killing us, but I mean, what are we paying Altuve? If we're talking about paying older players, what does that contract look like?
Well, he's going to get it. I mean, they're going to find a way.
Yeah, maybe deferred. That's the hot topic right now, right?
Oh my gosh, I can spend a whole podcast on that. I don't even know how to. I don't even know where to begin on that.
Did you see the mashup of like it was basically the Wolf of Wall Street?
Oh,
this one was the Wolf of Wall Street one. Like he was talking about like it was that whole montage of but it was like an overdub of this exact contract, and and it cuts to Leonardo DiCaprio and like you don't have to know this, but all you do have, is it legal? No, it's not legal at all. None of this.
What are we going to do? We're going to sell it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I've listened. I've turned off my Major League Baseball radio at times because I'm so frustrated because that's all I talk about. But at the same time, that takes a special case because he's making about 50 million in endorsements a year.
Oh, he's going to make his money.
Oh, no, it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed.
They all will.
Yeah. That's a podcast for another day because you really can spend a long time on that. But let's talk about Framber. Do I think the Astros are actively trying to trade him? No, I do not. Do I think they might?
Why don't you think that? Like,
I don't think they're.
What do you mean by actively?
Like, I don't think you're saying. I don't think they're calling teams. I think they're floating stuff out there, and it's my understanding, based on what I read today from respectable national pundits, that at least 6 teams have called. So they're floating something out there through the agent channel. It gets to the agents. They talk to the teams. The teams then call the Astros. So then you can always say, well, we weren't actively trading in case you trade.
Right.
That's just how the game works. I mean, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. But so I did a little research on this. And I think I said this in 2 or 3 podcasts ago. I would listen. And that doesn't mean I would accept, but I would listen. And I would get 2 or 3 teams and I would leverage them together and get the best deal. And if that deal wasn't good enough for what they consider their value, then guess what? You have the right to say no. But you also can drive up the price and have the right to also say yes and shed about $12 million predicted through arbitration this year and about 16, 17 next year.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is 12 million a lot? No, it's not. However, at this point, we have zero flexibility to make any moves before the trade deadline. We'll have to do something. This is what I would do is I'm sure one of those teams were the Baltimore Orioles for a number of reasons. They have a ton of cap space, luxury tax space. They have the best farm in the big leagues. And guess what the number one thing they need is? Pitching.
Yeah.
So I did a little proposal. I went to baseball trade values and worked up people that I think the Astros would be interested in. And again, I would say no to this originally and then see if there's another team jumps in and buy and bump up the price. But the Orioles would listen. And I would propose their number 3 prospect overall, Heston Kjerstad from Arkansas, who absolutely mashed the ball in college, has hit over 300 in the minors, has hit 26 bombs last year, left-handed outfielder. Isn't that weird? We kind of might have room there for a left-handed hitting outfielder. When you're your number 3 prospect overall in the Orioles system, that means you're pretty freaking good because they are loaded. That's not saying like a number 3 prospect in the Astros organization right now. It's just not. And then, who's, by the way, Major League ready. He's going to be 24. I think he got called up at the end. And so he's ready to hit the scene. And then I would propose DJ Hall, a left-handed 25-year-old pitcher who probably could be a 4 or 5 starter for you or out of the bullpen. So Major League ready as well. Has got some good stuff. His first year was last year with the Orioles for most of the season. So he's Major League ready. So now you're selling Framber. You're buying 5 more years of control back for a Major League ready pitcher. Is he Framber Valdez right now? No. Is his ceiling Framber? Probably not. But he's talented, 25-year-old kid with a good arm. And then I would and then based on the baseball trades value website, I still came up a little short to what Framber's expected value is, which I assumed I would. Then you get a third prospect that probably takes a little more time, a younger guy that's probably a flyer. Yes, a flyer. And you know, that's your 3 players. And if they propose that to the Astros, I would seriously think about it if I'm the Astros. Now, does it probably hurt our starting pitching in 2024? Probably does. It probably does, but that doesn't mean we can't. I mean, Kjerstad probably goes into a part-time player this year, meaning he probably plays some left field. He probably DHs, and he probably spells Tucker when he's not playing. And then eventually he's Tucker's replacement. Do I have any idea if he's going to be Kyle Tucker? No, not yet, but he mashes.
Yeah, and not likely, but possibly.
Yeah, so now you've just fixed a replacement for Tucker who you're not re-signing. You have a replacement in the rotation for Framber. You've freed up a ton of room for 2020 for this year just to do a trade at the trade deadline if you need it. And obviously you have a lot more room for 25 and 26. I don't know. So I know y'all are not familiar with the prospects as much as the research that I do on them because I'm a nerd like that. But I am going to kick it to you. I gave y'all the Cliff Notes version of my research. So I'm going to kick it to Dorton first.
Okay. So I do have, so your opinion on, or get your take on this. What does our starting rotation look like without
him?
Yeah.
Verlander. Good question, by the way. Verlander, Javier, Hunter Brown, DJ Hall. DJ Hall would be 4 or 5. The guy from the Orioles, because he started before. And then you're at you've got open tryouts for Eric
or Keedy and
yeah, thank you, Neil. You're Keedy. You've got Aaron Getty that you can try out in spring training. You've got Colton Gordon. You've got JP France, and so yeah, your Keedy would be 4, and DJ Hall would probably be 5. Always forget about your Keedy. I don't know why.
He came through clutch in starting role.
Yeah.
Look, you trade Framber, he's got to step in, no doubt.
Yeah.
So,
and then you hopefully you have McCullers second half of the year, Luis Garcia second half of the year. Anything you get from those guys is anything you get is icing on the cake. No, I'm not planning on it. Anything you get from them is icing on the cake.
Next, and then my next follow up is going to be obviously what happens when, it's not if, when one of those top 3 or whatever gets hurt.
Aaron Getty, Colton Gordon, JP France. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
struggle bus. Struggle bus.
Well, you hope you're hitting. Hope you're scoring runs.
Yeah.
We had 2 games at home to go to the World Series, and guys like JP France, Blanco were major contributors this year. So to say that it can't be done with a no-name, unproven guy, that's not true.
Well, I mean, like, let's take a step back and we brought JP France up.
Yeah.
And Frenchie threw lights out during the regular season for several games. He got BB's hit off of him.
But this is job done. And Dorton, that question is absolutely needs to be asked because of rotation, right? It's a great question. But let's also talk on the other side. Okay.
Yeah.
What Framber are we getting? Because after the All-Star break, his ERA was over 7.
I know.
Not for 2 starts, not for 3 starts. After the All-Star break, and was a complete no-show in the World Series.
Yeah. You remember when he was a no-show in the All-Star game because he threw a fit because he wasn't starting?
Yeah. I'm just saying. And he's 30, 31. So he has a phenomenal arm. We all know that. He has phenomenal stuff. I understand that. That's why I would leverage the Orioles offer against someone else. There's other teams out there would be interested in Framber from a trying to contend standpoint. I just know how deep the Orioles are in their farm. So that's the gamble you take is, okay, we can shed some payroll here. We can get younger. We can find a Kyle Tucker replacement because there is not one right now.
Right.
Maybe Jacob Melton, but I still think he's got to cut down on the strikeouts. And then you have room to maybe get a number 3 or number 4 at the deadline if you need them. If you've got injuries and the staff has gone to hell, you've got a little bit of room to pick up someone at the deadline to be a starting pitcher.
So I would say,
what are your thoughts, Neil?
So do y'all think, as we are right now, the team that we have currently, do you think it's better than what we had last year?
It's the same team.
I think it's the same
team.
Exception
of, you're right. No Maldi. Yeah, Maldi won't be playing. Maldi won't be playing 80% of the time, so that is fair.
So maybe he won't be better there.
Yep.
What about?
I know he's.
What about first base? No. Same. Second base, same. Third base.
Well, I mean,
no, we're better. We're better with addition by subtraction. Yeah.
Now we've lost some bullpen pieces.
Right.
That's a little bit. I mean, because again, I don't know if y'all remember this guy Dusty Baker, but he used those guys fairly regularly, and it'll be interesting to see Espada and how he chooses to manage starting pitchers and the bullpen. But I would,
Well, I guess go ahead.
I was gonna say, I would say we are better now. Surely there's some gaps that, some things that we've got to kind of seal up here and there. I mean, the bullpen being probably the most obvious one in my mind. But with us being better, my question basically is it worth the gamble? Is it worth the risk of trading Framber to long term? Correct. You might be in a better spot. But we're also, we talked about this at the beginning of this podcast. The timetable in this organization to be where we're, it's closing. And so while I agree, like if somebody makes a deal that is pretty hard to pass, it would have to be a pretty sweet deal to roll the dice.
So without you knowing the 2 major league ready players plus a third, is that not enough for you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, where are those guys fitting into the puzzle?
He would be
the pitcher. Yeah, the pitcher. I'm with you.
Kerstad would be the 4th outfielder. He would probably platoon in left, and he would DH too. He would DH as well. He would DH as well, and he would give Tucker a spell when he needed to. I mean, he would be on the roster most likely because he can mash and he's left-handed.
I would say. I think I'm leaning towards Neil. What Neil's trying to argue here is that now's not the time unless we know exactly who we're getting.
And the other part, yes,
I understand the unknown, but I don't think y'all haven't answered yet. What Framber are you getting?
The other gamble is that. That's what I was about to say. Is that's the other gamble. Now, the other question that I have is how much salary does that clean up for us, or is it an even swap? I know we're losing Framber.
Well, no, those guys, it would be roughly Framber's about 12 to 13. Those guys would be minimum. Yeah, they'd be minimum salary. So you're talking about probably 1.5 to get both of them combined. So you're talking about 11 to 12 million and freeze up.
So if you do that, knowing that we can go get a quality pitcher, maybe it's even a Josh Hader bullpen, I'm in. Like I can gamble while opening some space to go get somebody.
Here's what you do, because y'all know I'm a gambler by heart. So is Miesky. I would do it for those 2 plus a third prospect. And here's what I would do then: is I would have Chaz in center, and I would have Kerstad Jordan splitting time in left. Another left-handed bat, by the way, power bat. And you have Tucker in right, and I would trade Jake Myers for a controllable starter or bullpen piece plus a prospect. That's what I would do. So then you just added another, probably a 3-4 guy, a starter that's major league ready. It's got some major league time, or a stud bullpen piece. So it's what I would do. Just because you do one trade doesn't mean you're done yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's true. Where I'm at.
If we have propped Myers up enough that we get a serviceable number 5 in our rotation, jump on it.
Okay, here's the deal. I've got my Myers issues, we all do. But from a defensive standpoint, a team that needs a defensive center fielder, there are so few of them. His value is greater than his profile, and it is. His value is greater than his profile, and so
explain that. Explain what you're meaning by his profile.
Well, we're a little close to the situation, but his injury his injury, he's never been the same hitter since his shoulder injury in the playoff series versus the White Sox in the wall. However, there are so few elite defending center fielders that his value, someone is willing to take a risk on because of the defense to help grow the bat and hopefully the bat responds. Against left-handed hitters, he's a quality major league hitter. I mean, I'm sorry, against left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
He's not against right-handed hitters, so that's something that you could even platoon him. But he has a much better value because of his defense in center field that is just lacking in Major League Baseball.
Well, and like I also think, where does and not that they're great values, but I think they're potential pieces when you talk about old Frenchie. I mean, a Frenchie, a Blanco, guys who have pitched Major League Baseball.
Sure. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. So, because I think, well, this is just, we could go on. But if you can trade Framber for a 4 or 5 young left-handed pitcher like DJ Hall, and an eventual replacement that has proven power, but again, he's got to do it. But again, he's the top 20 prospect in Major League Baseball. And then you trade Myers for a 4 or 5 or a bullpen piece. Let's not count the marginal prospects. Would you do that 3 for those 2?
Because of Dubon, yes.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Because where Dubon fits in, and Dubon may have had the career year last year. I mean,
yeah, but he can still play defensive center field.
But he can play. He's still an infield, outfield utility guy. That
I would do it. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. If I was guaranteed some of those things, now just that one trade, I would be a little bit leery. But if I knew that we were going to get somebody else, another, specifically a starter, because I mean, we know we're not counting on McCullers.
No,
I mean,
Garcia's not.
Garcia. I mean,
no.
I'm gonna say it's not Garcia's fault, but I mean, he got hurt. So I mean, counting on those guys, I mean, that's hopefully the second half, yes. But I mean, we got to get there.
McCullers has his coffee business. He's got to run,
killing it.
Don't worry about him. He's doing fine.
Yeah, I mean, between if those things were done, and we're still making some trades to fill the holes of bullpen and starting, I still think it's a gamble. I do, but like I do too. Sitting on our hands and doing nothing, rolling the dice and saying, we're going to get the good Framber back. I mean, there's no guarantee on that.
Yeah.
I mean, there is none. So,
what would hurt though? It would hurt where seeing Framber go wherever and then firing lights out.
Oh, of course, that. Come on, Astros blood. You're doing it.
Yeah.
And his mental makeup convinces me otherwise. He is a multi-million-dollar arm with a 2-cent head. And I could be wrong. We'll wrap this up real quick on that subject, but my biggest issue is, Neil, you make a great point. We're probably better on paper, addition by subtraction, but Jose Abreu still needs to have a better year. Jeremy Pena needs to have a better year. Yonder Diaz, who I think is going to be solid. I mean, he might not hit the way he did last year. He might be just have a sophomore slump. You know what I mean? That guy's gonna hit. He just might not hit at the same rate because he's going to be catching full time.
He could have the Jeremy Pena year.
Correct. But then you got to remember, hopefully you're going to have Jordan and Altuve more this year, so that should help the bats. You hope.
Yep.
my concern is there's no room right now to make a move if we need an addition at the All-Star break or the trade deadline.
Yeah.
They're going to have to get really creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt. And a move like that gives you some flexibility. I agree.
You got to remember, so it's going to be prorated. So it'll be August, September. So, if someone's making $18 million, it's prorated to what their service time would be for the Astros. So you've got yourself some room there, to add a quality arm.
Yeah.
And our trade deadline this year could be the McCullers, Garcia, Arrighetti, those types of guys.
Yeah,
and
could be.
Well, that may not fire a lot of people up. That may be the situation that we're in. If we can make it to that point without pulling some of those cats up. But if we're in the same boat we were in last year at this time, we're begging for a move, right? I mean, we're needing somebody. But at the same time, if we're if we have a 6-game lead, we're also saying we probably need to make some moves to tighten up, this bolt here or there. I mean, championship teams make adjustments.
What happens if Jose Abreu starts the same way he does?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Again, hypothetical. The Astros are listening there, and he's not official on the block. But Dorton, would you do that? Would you just do the Framber trade that I proposed out there hypothetically? I'll put you on the spot.
After talking it through, yeah, I would.
Okay, Neil?
Just that trade alone? No.
Just that trade alone?
No.
Okay. I'm on the record. I would. I want the flexibility, and I'll take the gamble on the flexibility. The replacement down the road for Tucker, another arm. By the way, for some reason we don't like having left-handers in our bullpen either.
Sure.
So that guy could end up being a bullpen piece to transition to the rotation. So I'm on the record. I would. I'm not saying that's what's available. I'm just saying it on the baseball values, the baseballtradevalues.com website, those two and a younger prospect came out pretty even. Just so you know, well, it goes based on WAR value, wins above replacement, based on all that. And so I ran it, and it was pretty dang close. So,
and just so
people understand where I'm getting it from, I did do some homework and research saying that it's not like I'm shooting the moon on one side or the other. It was pretty even on the value.
That's all with the assumption that we don't go over the luxury tax.
We're not going over until I see it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
I mean, well, I read that in that interview with Crane. I mean, he made it pretty dang clear.
Yeah,
he's not going over.
Let me tell you something. If that guy's quote unquote has lower revenue streams this year, he ain't going over the luxury tax.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he's just not.
Yeah.
But I mean
fan revenue. Fan revenue now is probably at an all-time high for the Astros, and there's no way that's making up that difference.
I'm going to run some numbers on what he bought it for and what it's valued at, Dorton, because I think the sell side of things is probably pretty fair point.
Yeah, that was good. I could see him be willing to go over the luxury tax, perhaps at trade time for a handful of months. For the right guy.
Yeah.
For the right guy.
Sure. I mean, again, I'm gonna believe it when I see it.
I'll see. Yeah.
How do you own your own network and lose money? I haven't figured that out yet either.
Well, they're not losing money. They're just not making as much as they were.
Okay. Right.
With 18. They're not. No. Let's be clear there. He's not losing
you're right.
a dime.
They're not profiting.
Yeah, but when you own all those rights, you would think they would profit more.
In the long run, they will.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't feel bad.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I am gonna see what you bought it for and what's it valued at. I'm not gonna do it right now on the podcast. It's not hard to find out, but Yeah, he's making money on his investment, no doubt. All right, we're going to transition real fast. I appreciate it. I just want to throw that hypothetical out there. It's interesting. It's interesting stuff.
Yep.
Again, we didn't come up with this. This has kind of been floated through the baseball national writers that they release listing. So it'll be interesting winter and then spring training. Let's focus transition over to some bowls and some bowl picks. I don't even know where to begin other than I'm going to have a blanket statement here. How to keep up with opt-outs is virtually impossible.
No chance. No chance.
I ran one bowl game, Dorton, just one bowl game, and I got to 13 players on both sides that were opted out, and I just said, I'm done. I'm not going to do this for every bowl game. I'm just not going to do
it. There's no possible way that like bowl games as a whole could not be more meaningless right now than they ever have been.
That is a huge statement. You're right.
It's a huge statement, but I watched some of Jacksonville State versus don't even remember now, Louisiana. Let me tell you something. That is better than the crap I saw last night on the NFL. The NFL.
You watched the Cowboy game?
No. I looked at the score and I was like, no thanks. The Cowboys are doing what they do in the winter.
I will say this. I'm not a Texan fan, and I'm not a diehard Texan or anything. However, I saw what Tennessee did Sunday, and it hit a little bit. And
let's talk about that for a second. I don't want to get on the NFL. But we do have people.
I'm very, very, very glad to see those SOBs go back with the tail and the Adams family take their freaking tail and put it between their legs and move on.
Okay. Can I say something that this is probably going to trigger you more, but at least the troll in me wants to talk about this. I mean, I've heard them. I control a little bit. I don't know if that's true or not. My issue is the Texans are not the Oilers franchise.
No, they're not.
The Titans.
But that's not a troll against the Texans. I felt that was a troll against the former Oiler fans who are residing
but
in the vicinity of Houston.
But what I saw on social media was Texans fans think they have a right to those uniforms, and buddy,
no,
you do not.
Absolutely not. Now, them going full on Oil Derrick and on the 50 and Oilers on the sidelines and a Bum Phillips hat on
Vrabel, Mike Vrabel.
That's the deal, right? What connection does Tennessee have with oil and the Oilers uniform?
Right.
Like, there's the town of Tennessee. How many of the people in Tennessee even could name you Warren Moon?
Zero.
That's the stuff that they're forcing the history of Houston on Tennessee. And and the Houston fans rightfully say, that's us. That's not y'all.
Right. I will say this.
I knew
I'd
get Neil in this conversation. I knew I would.
Yeah, it couldn't have been more poetic than the fact that U of H alumni Case Keenum was at the controls when this happened, right? Like, I feel as though it was almost like this was written. Like, you're gonna troll Houston is basically what you're doing. You're gonna troll the city of Houston and the fans of Love You Blue.
I will say, if you're gonna be that savage, you need to win that game.
You need to win that game.
Yeah,
and you don't need to get beat by the backup.
And JJ Watt coming out saying,
QB3.
give him back.
Yeah.
JJ Watt came out and said, "Give them back." That was pretty sweet.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I grew up. I mean, I'm odd. I get that. I grew up a Dallas Cowboy and a Houston Oilers fan. I just I wanted to.
Me too.
Yeah.
I went to both. I love both, and I mean, we got to the point, or at least I got to the point, to where mid '90s when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowl titles. Well, you lean towards the winner, and the Oilers were starting to go down their path. But there's two uniforms in the entire NFL history that are the greatest uniforms ever. One being the Love You Blues,
Mm-hmm.
and the other being the dark uniforms for the Cowboys. Like, those to me are my favorite all time uniforms.
I agree. I agree.
So watching that
halfway
game,
agree with you.
I don't know why the Cowboys do not wear the navies more often. I don't know why they don't.
But watching that game yesterday and seeing those uniforms, I mean, it's just awesome. I just love them. Seeing them
They are pretty sweet.
Seeing them on Tennessee, or that being Tennessee, as Houston fans that have grown up watching that uniform for their town, and now we're playing that uniform, that's mind blowing.
Yeah, that
is just mind blowing. I mean, imagine seeing an Astro uniform in Nashville.
Man.
What does the Astros have to do with Nashville?
Yeah.
Nothing. What does Oil Derricks have to do with Nashville? Nothing.
I mean, the only thing that it has to do with is they're trying to Kruger Houston as much as possible. And that's all there is to it.
Trying to.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that all out. All right, back to bowl picks.
All right.
So
back to meaningless trash bowls for the next week.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Here's what I want to do. They are, but man, they're fun to watch. It's hard to do any research on them. For the gambling crowd out there, I think the bets are over and unders. I really do. Like, I think there's way more meaningful bets than betting these lines is like, what? I don't even know who the third string quarterback is for freaking whatever school.
The avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
what's tomorrow's Scooter's Coffee Bowl?
Heck yes.
So here's what I am going to do. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge both. I'm going to say, you got one game. Yeah. Dorton, I'm going to start with you because Neil just had a big old sigh. So you've got one game to pick. It's going to be recorded on this podcast against the line. So, I mean, these lines have shifted like unreal. But,
Lord.
Well, we could go through all of them. We don't have time to go through 38 bowl games that are still left.
No.
Give me one game that you like, and we'll see how we do. Or, I mean, and then, we'll talk about the playoffs. We'll talk about the playoffs and probably the New Year's Six on our next podcast.
All right.
I actually have two.
Screw you, Kruger.
Oh, wow. Ouch.
For starting with me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you knew we were going to talk bowls.
All right.
You got to have something that you like. And no, BYU's not in a bowl.
I'm going to go with my most weighted pick in our pick'em, which means nothing to Neil.
No,
right?
No,
absolutely nothing to Neil.
No.
I would go heavy on Ohio State plus 2.5. If that's even still a line. I don't even know what the line is right now.
I'll look at it right
now.
The
line is, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's minus. Okay, before I tell you this line, I could not disagree with you more, and I would like some side action on that.
Okay.
It's now minus 2.5 Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take Ohio State plus 2.5 in that game.
Side action.
Bet. Sure, you bet.
Okay. All right. I like it. Okay, Neil, do you have one?
Only
I'm
because,
just saying. I disagree
yeah,
with Dorton. I like Missouri on that one.
and I
This
can't
is why
believe
we're
that
doing this. This is what I love.
I can't believe that that's the line. Missouri's favored against Ohio State. What has happened? What did I miss?
It's called their quarterback just transferred to Syracuse, and their best wide receivers opting out to go to the NFL
NFL.
draft.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um,
They don't.
so just
So
because
stupid.
I'm going, put your money down, load this puppy up. Okay. Inside sources, not really, but your Texas State Bobcats are beating the Rice House
I knew you
by
were gonna. I knew you were gonna go there.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a 20-point plus whooping.
Let's see the
All
current
right.
line.
20
That's like
points.
4.5 or so.
-4.5 Beer
Yeah.
Cats.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
It's over. I mean, with all their bowl experience,
I was gonna just ask, can you give me any insight on why that's your pick? And you just told me
yeah,
basically with all their bowl experience.
yes, that's right.
Oh,
We're
I've got
going
a
there.
second one. Here, I've got a second one. James Madison at -2.5 against Air Force.
I have rules. I never bet against Air Force ever.
I know, man, but -2.5. James Madison,
They're good. They are good.
they're good. And
But how many
-2.5.
teams? I agree with you. James Madison's good.
And they'll play, and those
How
kids will play.
how many times so will the Air Force guys? And how many teams
Yeah, that's true.
James Madison played the option this year? Because they're about to get a clinic on how to run it.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure they can simulate it.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
The other interesting.
I think for the record, Dorton, I think that's the pick. I just like my body starts to shake when I go against Air Force because they're so good against the spread. Like my body starts to like shake.
The other one,
Tulane is interesting too.
I like
Tulane, Virginia Tech.
I like Marshall covering.
Tomorrow?
Also, Marshall covering over UTSA just because, again, I hate.
Tomorrow.
Is that tomorrow's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Neil's done a ton of research on these.
Yeah, you're killing it, man. You're killing it.
I'm telling you, load the boat.
I'm so glad.
Go wrong.
I'm so glad these are saved. I'm so glad. This is the beauty of having a YouTube channel and a podcast. All right, I'm gonna give you mine.
Give us some gems.
I'm gonna give you mine. You might see a theme here, but it's only because I've watched. At this point, when you have all these opt outs, I have to go back to games and teams that I've watched. So, Arizona over OU. OU's starting 5 offensive linemen are not playing. Their quarterback portaled now.
Oh man.
They are having Jackson Arnold, who is highly recruited, but it's his first start. But I'm not so concerned about that as their 5 offensive linemen are not playing in the game. They're either have all opted for the draft, graduation, or portaled out. Arizona's
Why play this game?
Arizona's 9-3. Their quarterback is playing now. I have not watched much of Arizona other than highlights. But they've been salty. So that is my load up game for the Bowls, which means Oklahoma will beat them by 28.
Yeah,
probably
run roll them.
But considering the portals and who's missing for OU, I'm going Arizona. My other one, I like. Jordan's not gonna like this. I like Oklahoma State, but at the same time, they're not that good. I just don't know what A&M's going to do with all the portals.
You can't touch either. You can't touch that game. I mean, like, how can you touch that game? That's a flip of the coin right there. That's all that is.
Well, yeah, Oklahoma State's not that good, but I just don't know who's going to play for A&M.
Me neither. No one does.
Yeah, I know. There's some other ones I like.
Exhibition.
We'll get into next week. Yeah,
It's
total.
like betting on preseason games. And
I was talking to English about this the other day. You know
Yeah.
what I would rather see than all of these opt-outs? Let them go out there and do what the Pro Bowl's doing. I would rather watch that, what the NFL Pro Bowls do. I'd rather watch them run a bunch of crazy 50-yard
not me.
dashes and
Not me.
throw a ball 60 yards into a hoop.
Not me.
I'd rather watch that because you'd actually get to see these kids who are gonna go into the draft. You get to see them out there playing, as
Dude,
opposed to
the games so far have been good.
QB5s. Yeah,
The
but
games so far have been good.
there's no action on it. How can you put action on this?
I just watched a 6A high school state championship game that was 74-14, and the team could have scored 120.
They were on pace for 140.
Yeah,
they could have scored 120. Like, the games so far have been pretty good. They've been pretty tight.
Yeah.
So,
the last one that I'm interested in is is North Carolina and West Virginia. I kind of, old Mattress Mac Brown. How can you go against them?
I don't know. I just know Drake May's not playing. I don't know, man.
It's Mac. I don't know. Yeah, but
I don't know.
Neil Brown at West Virginia needs this win. So
I can't wait to watch. I can't wait to watch two teams that could not want to be in the current bowl game less than Georgia and Florida State. I can't wait for that game. That's going to be great.
Georgia's had like 15 people already opt out.
Yeah.
Florida State's best players are opting out.
I also can't wait to watch Oregon, who was in that hot title hunt, play Liberty. Can't wait for that one. That one's going to be a great. But ratings through the roof.
So if Florida State beats Georgia, are they the national champions? Oh wait, too soon.
Oh my! Oh, why'd you go there already? Yeah,
I have to say something about Florida State. It is what it is. Stop crying. It's over. How
about Iowa and Tennessee? Ask me my thoughts on Iowa football real quick. Go ahead. Ask me.
I already know them because I have you on group text. I know them.
How do y'all feel about the bad? How do you feel about the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl?
It's
Rutgers
in
versus
Stadium. Yankee Stadium, baby. It's
Fenway.
No, that's SMU and Boston College. That's the
it
Fenway
is.
Bowl.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah. It's right above it. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl. My fault.
No, that's
what are you doing?
Hey, SMU
I'll still watch
Boston
it.
College. SMU might put up some points there.
I will still watch it over. Last week, I believe it was the Vikings versus the Bears. The final score was 3-0. I will.
Yeah. Don't. The NFL. Yeah.
All right. Anything else before we move on? We move on to the throwback player.
Nope. We'll hit the main bowls. Next week.
Yeah. We'll get some good feedback on or good predictions there. Get those on record. That'll be fun.
Anything we want to touch on before I move on?
Do we want to just real quick gloss over the unfortunate?
Yes. Oh wait.
I was going to say the unfortunate Houston Chronicle social media hire for the Astros beat social media person.
Yeah, I sent that to y'all, and it's just taken a life of its own in the media. Dorton, you have at it. You've probably researched it more than I have. What an absolute disaster.
I mean, I'll say this. I feel for the young lady. I mean, like she is just getting a job and like
trying to get a job.
Great. I'm for it. Chronicle. Houston.
Be careful on social media then.
Yeah, I agree.
Sure.
I agree.
Sure.
But like find a job. I mean, she probably should have found a job in the Dallas area. I get it. But she got a job offer for the Astros, or for covering the Astros for the Houston Chronicle. You take that job if you're a journalist. You bet. You take that job. Why is the Houston Chronicle hiring her?
They didn't do any research on her.
Exactly.
Like Mieski, everyone thinks that I'm the biggest troll. Mieski can troll like no other as well. When I quote unquote troll on social media, I'm well aware that those things can be brought up in 5, 10, 15, or 70 years.
They're there for life.
It's happened to me before, and I had to respond with, got me. I mean, it's happened. Like, you're right, Jordan. The Chronicle didn't do the work, but that's there. Like, how did she know that someone wasn't going to find it?
I do feel bad that they went personally after her. I mean, she is just trying to get a job.
I don't think they should go personally after her. I don't think they should do that. I know.
That's welcome to the internet.
But if she wouldn't have posted any of that, they wouldn't have had any reason to. Now, they should not have personally went after her. But the Chronicle should not hire to be an Astros beat reporter for that crap. They just shouldn't.
Well,
exactly.
If I'm hiring her, I'm saying we will announce this in about 3 days. You better scrub your stuff.
Someone will find it.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean,
and for people who are listening who don't know, the Houston Chronicle hired a social media person.
Leah Van is her name.
Who, I mean, as of 3 months ago, was all but calling the Astros and Altuve cheaters, and this was her social media feed, which is fine. Like, you have your opinion, you go 100%. ahead and do it.
I have zero problem with her doing that. I mean, I have zero problem with her doing that on social media. My problem is, don't expect to be hired by the Astros organization.
Yeah. You shouldn't try and get a job for the Astros. And if you do try, you shouldn't expect to get hired. And Correct. She got hired.
Yeah. That tells you all. You're right, though, Jordan. That's all tells you all about the Chronicle. Yep.
Great job.
Yes. The Chronicle.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. I'm done with
that. No, that was, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, it's fair. I could spend, again, it's another topic I could spend more time on. It shows you what the leadership is over there. And sorry if we have any friends that work over there, but that's ridiculous. It's like,
I will say this, Kruger, there was just a go-ahead touchdown by Seattle with less than 30 seconds.
Oh, wow.
On Monday Night Football for your terrible NFL games.
17-13 or whatever. What's the score?
Yeah, it's they just moved off.
Oh.
I
all right. So we're doing a rotation for the last segment of the night. Will be the throwback player of the week, and it is sponsored by our friends at Victoria Equipment Auction. VictoriaEquipmentAuction.com. Our friends Kenny and Kevin Griffin over there. And at Victoria Equipment Auction, their number one goal is to get you the best price for your equipment in a hassle-free professional manner. Whether you are part of a large corporation looking to clear old equipment out of your inventory, or an individual interested in selling a single piece, Victoria Equipment Auction is ready to go to work for you. Just drop off the equipment, and they will take care of the rest. Ask for Clay at 361-935-2444. That is 361-935-2444. And thank the good people over there at Victoria Equipment Auction. They had a great auction on December 2nd. You can sell about anything there, so contact them. All right. So it's my turn. So I get the floor, which I love. And I decided, since it's, downtime and down baseball time, to do another football pick. And I decided to do a throwback player that I can remember as a kid, my first player that got me interested in college football and the Longhorns. I thought back through everything, and this was the first one I can remember. I've been blessed. My family, my dad's had season tickets to the UT games since the 70s or early 80s. I don't even remember the actual date. You two guys have been in those seats before as kids and for some good games. And I've been fortunate enough to go to see Heisman Trophy winners, so forth, everything. Back then, when we were kids, you could the DKR was AstroTurf, and you could go on for an hour after the game and throw the football around, get autographs. It was the coolest thing ever. And I will never forget walking up to this player and asking for his autograph. And I just remember him saying, "Anything you got, bro? Absolutely." And he signed my brother's jersey. He signed my program. Still have the program, by the way. And it is the one and only Eric Metcalf.
I knew it.
Oh, yeah.
You did?
I was about to guess him.
I should have let you know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So a little bit about, let's talk about his career first. He was born January 23rd, 1968 in Seattle, Washington. He's an interesting story. I've always known this about him, but like when Neil does a great job on these things, you get to dive in and learn or relearn some things that you knew about him. Metcalf played at UT. He was an all Southwest Conference. How long ago's that seem?
Yeah, I know.
Selection 3 times. He was the 1987 Southwest Conference Player of the Year and a second-team All-American. Metcalf finished his 4 seasons with 4,051 yards from scrimmage, 125 receptions, 31 total touchdowns, and added another 1,650 yards on special teams. He was the only player, this is interesting to me, he's the only player in Texas history to lead the team in all-purpose yards for all 4 years. He holds every school receiving record for a running back. Here's what I forgot about. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. He was side note, he's really one of the first running backs to be a receiving threat out of the backfield on a regular basis. They did it in the college, and then obviously, they had packages for him in the NFL. We'll get to that, but
was he
was
number
the first
2?
one. Yep, and at UT he was.
Yeah.
But they threw to him a ton. I mean, this is in the mid '80s.
Yeah, well, they threw to him when they weren't throwing to the Cash brothers.
That's right.
That's right.
Metcalf had a distinguished career in track and field. In high school, he was a standout long jumper and sprinter. He still has the 7th longest distance ever posted indoors by American high schooler in the long jump. He set the University of Texas long jump record, still to this day, at 27 feet 8 inches and a quarter. He won the NCAA National Long Jump Championships in '86 and '88, and the Southwest Conference Long Jump titles in '86 and '87. He was also the U.S. Junior National Long Jump Champion in '86 and '87. He earned the distinction of being a 5-time All-American, and in 1988 competed in the U.S. Olympic trials, finishing 8th overall. He was inducted into the Texas Longhorn Hall of Honor in 2017 and was inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Transition real quick to his pro career. He was drafted in the first round as 13th pick overall in the '89 draft. He had 3 Pro Bowls.
Who was he drafted by? The Chargers?
Cleveland Browns.
Browns, right?
Browns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Led the league his second year. He led the league in kickoff return yards back when they actually returned kicks. Neil knows a little bit of something about that. And he also led the NFL in punt return touchdowns in 4 different seasons. 93. Yeah, he did. In 95 and then in 97. Played for 6 different teams. Like I said, 3 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pros. In 2008, he was named a Cleveland Brown legend. And as of 2023, he has been a Pro Football Hall of Fame nominee 8 times, but has never made it to being a semifinalist.
Wow.
Yeah, that went back in the memory. That went back in the memory books, man.
That's crazy because I guess in my mind, I've just always just put him as a receiver. And in
the pros, he was kick returner and really package receiver, and sometimes they run around the backfield. But NFL
at Texas, he was.
Yeah, no, he was in the backfield. But check to your point, Dorton. NFL career stats: 541 receptions, 5,600 receiving yards, 2,300 rushing yards, 9,266 return yards, and 55 touchdowns. So if you add up all of his yards, he has roughly 17,000 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
I will say,
yeah.
if I had a who's your favorite Longhorn, it would probably be Eric Metcalf. Because I remember watching and enjoying watching him play.
He was all purpose before there was all purpose. I mean, he really was.
Yeah.
God,
that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's really
that's
good.
just the first. It's the first one I remember, and that it's cool to experience a little bit throwback there. So that was cool.
I didn't realize
I remember.
He's not a Texan.
No, he's from he was
Oregon,
born in Seattle, but but I think he went here. I have it pulled up real quick. He went to high school in like Virginia or somewhere. Dad, Terry Metcalf, played in the NFL, by the way. So that's probably why he moved around a little bit. Let me see. High school career. Yep. Metcalf attended Bishop O'Connell High School in Arlington County, Virginia.
Huh. Dad must have been playing for
I think his
Washington?
dad played for the Cardinals and the Washington. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so I will never I say this all the time to my dad. I wish, because it's not natural. The excuse when Texas went to natural grass was, can't mess with the field anymore. Well, now they're back to field turf. I mean, that was some of the coolest times, just walking up to Eric Metcalf and saying, "Hey, man, can you sign my program?" He's like, "Yeah, man, sure, bro."
You're going to make me pull out. I've got my whatever year it was that I know I went with y'all and got 57 autographs.
Yes. We got autographs from people we didn't even know who they were.
Didn't care. And the time of our lives. And
absolutely.
Who would have thought just a few years later we're talking about Eric Metcalf as a throwback. What a cool deal. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I said at the top of the show, we won't have one next week. We'll have one the following week for the playoffs. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Even if you like and subscribe on Spotify and so forth, give us some feedback. And boys, it's Monday night. We'll drop this tomorrow when our Irishman gets it edited. And man, we appreciate everyone that's given us feedback. Please continue to. And with that being said, go Strohs.
Go Strohs.
Go Strohs.